Hello, I'm Vanessa Bracamonte, and I'm glad to present today our paper, All Apps Do This, comparing privacy concerns towards privacy tools and non-privacy tools for social media content. This research was conducted in collaboration with colleagues at Goethe University, Frankfurt, whom I would like to thank for their work and support. First, I would like to introduce the background of our research. Currently, users reveal a considerable amount of private information about themselves or others on social media. But unfortunately, this of course can have unintended consequences, and users report that they regret sharing this information. To help users protect their privacy on social media, researchers have proposed methods and tools for identifying and transforming personal information in content. For example, there are proposals for image data that work by identifying certain subjects and obscuring them so that they cannot be recognized. And there are similar proposals for text data as well. In general, these proposals take some user data as input, analyze it, for example using a machine learning model, and output a prediction or inference about the content of the user's data. In this general sense, these proposals are not different from, for example, face apps that are used for entertainment, except in their beneficial purpose of enhancing privacy. We know from previous research that users have privacy concerns towards services that ask for their personal data. It is logical that users also have this concern towards data processing privacy-enhancing tools, which also require access to user data. In studies on tools such as browser extensions to block third-party tracking, web browsing protection, and more specifically, sensitive information detection, users have reported that they are concerned about their data and privacy. However, we do not know how privacy concern towards privacy tools compares to concern toward tools that are not for privacy. That is, how does the priming of a privacy purpose affect these tools? Therefore, we investigated the following questions. Is the level of privacy concern towards privacy tools different from privacy concern towards non-privacy tools? Are the reasons for privacy concern different? And since we were also interested in how these concerns might be reduced, we also investigated the question of whether there are differences in perception of assurances. To answer these questions, we conducted an experiment where we showed participants a mock-up of a hypothetical prototype app for social media content. We manipulated the purpose of the tool, privacy versus a non-privacy tool, as well as the type of data, text versus image. The mockups had the same general design for all conditions, and the privacy and non-privacy conditions were only different in their stated purpose, in the alert message that they showed, and in their output. After showing the mockup and additional examples, we asked participants questions about their privacy concern towards the hypothetical app. We used the mobile user's information privacy concerns scale, which consists of 3 dimensions. These are perceived surveillance, which is concerned about data being collected and being tracked and monitored. Perceived intrusion, which is concerned about the spread of information and invasion of privacy. And finally, secondary use of information, which is concerned about personal information being shared and misused. The survey was conducted on Amazon Mechanical Turk among US workers, and our final sample consisted of 185 responses. In general, participants had a neutral to somewhat positive perception of the hypothetical app and were somewhat satisfied with the transformation they saw in the mockup. And there were no differences between groups for these characteristics. Please refer to the paper for details on the experiment design and survey, as well as how we analyzed the data we obtained. The results show that yes, there was a difference in the level of concern related to perceived surveillance. However, there were no significant differences in concern about intrusion and about secondary use of their personal information between privacy tools and non-privacy tools. In addition, we found no differences due to the type of data, that is, between text or image. On the other hand, we did not identify any differences in the reasons that participants gave for their level of privacy concern. Participants referred to the same reasons for concerns towards the privacy tool as for towards the non-privacy tool, such as lack of trust, participants' own mindset towards privacy, how much control the participants feel they have over the app and information they give, concerns about their data being collected, sold, and misused, security risks, how their data would be processed, and a lack of information about the app itself. The one exception were answers that indicated that the privacy objective of the tool was the reason why participants concerned about privacy was not so high, but these types of answers were not frequent. Finally, the results show no significant main effect of the type of tool or data on the perception of different assurances related to the type of provider, ads, institutional assurances, and how the data was processed. In general, assurances related to data processing, that is, that the data would be processed client-side and that the user data cannot be traced back to the participant, were the ones that participants thought would reduce their privacy concerns more. In summary, the results indicate that, at best, participants had the same level of concern about intrusion and secondary use of their information for privacy tools as for non-privacy tools. At worst, participants were more concerned about being surveilled by privacy tools. This is important because proposals for the detection of personal information of course rely on the assumption that there will be access to the user's data. However, users may be reluctant to allow access to their data without assurances. Unfortunately, proposals for privacy tools do not often include discussions on how users' data would be protected, or if it's possible to implement privacy-preserving techniques in the development of these proposals, and if so, how would this impact performance? In conclusion, we set to investigate whether privacy concern towards privacy tools for social media content was different than towards non-privacy tools. And we found that the answer was yes to some extent. Concern about surveillance was higher. On the other hand, the level of privacy concern about intrusion and secondary use of information was not different from that towards non-privacy tools. Also, we did not identify differences in the reasons for the higher level of privacy concern. And we found that participants preferred the same assurances for privacy and non-privacy tools. In the future, we want to, of course, address the limitations of the current research by using a more realistic scenario and a different set of participants. And also revisit the question of the reason for the difference in privacy concern. That is, what is the mechanism through which privacy concern increases, and if there are antecedent variables affected. Thank you for listening.